After Adam and Eve were sent out of the Garden of Eden, life was no longer easy. The ground was hard. Work was tiring. Every day required effort and patience. Yet God was still with them, guiding them as they learned to live in a world touched by sin. In time, Adam and Eve had children. Their first son was named Cain, which means brought forth. Their second son was Abel, whose name means breath or vapor. From the beginning, the brothers were different, not just in name, but in the paths they chose. Cain became a farmer. He worked the soil his parents had once struggled with. He planted seeds, waded through the seasons, and harvested crops from the earth. His work was heavy and demanding, but he took pride in it. Abel became a shepherd. He cared for sheep, guiding them to water and green fields, protecting them from danger. His work required gentleness, watchfulness, and patience. The brothers grew up side by side, but their hearts were not the same. Offerings to God one day. Cain and Abel decided to bring offerings to the Lord. Cain gathered fruits from his fields, grain, vegetables, and produce grown from the soil. Abel selected the firstborn of his flock, choosing the best he had, the healthiest and strongest. When they presented their offerings, God looked with favor upon Abel's gift. Abel had offered not just something he owned, but something precious, given with trust and humility. But Cain's offering was not accepted. The Bible does not say that farming was wrong, or that Cain's gift was worthless. What God saw was the heart behind the gift. Cain felt it immediately. A heat rose in his chest. His hands clenched. His face darkened. He felt embarrassed, then hurt, then angry. Why Abel? Why not me? Jealousy took root. God's warning God did not ignore Cain. Instead, the Lord spoke to him gently, but firmly. Why are you angry? Why has your face fallen? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. God was warning Cain. Anger was knocking. Sin was waiting. But Cain still had a choice. He could humble himself. He could change. He could learn. Yet Cain said nothing. He let the anger stay. The walk into the field days passed, but Cain's heart grew darker. Every time he saw Abel, the jealousy burned stronger. Abel had done nothing wrong, yet Cain blamed him anyway. One day, Cain spoke to his brother. Come, he said, let's go out into the field. Abel trusted his brother. He followed him without fear. The field was quiet. The wind moved gently through the grass. No one else was there. And in that lonely place, Cain allowed his anger to take control. Cain rose up against Abel, and Abel was killed. For the first time in human history, a life was taken by another human hand. The ground drank Abel's blood. The world felt the weight of sin in a new way. God questions Cain. The Lord came to Cain and asked, "Where is your brother Abel?" Cain answered coldly, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" But God knew. And God said, "What have you done? Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground." Cain could not hide the truth. Consequences because of his sin, Cain was punished. The ground he once worked would no longer produce crops for him. The soil would resist him. His labor would be empty. He would become a wanderer, moving from place to place without rest. Cain was afraid. "My punishment is more than I can bear," he said. "Anyone who finds me will kill me." But God, even in judgment, showed mercy. The Lord placed a mark on Cain, not as a reward, but as protection, so that no one would kill him. Cain left the presence of the Lord and went away, carrying both his guilt and God's mercy with him. The lesson the story of Cain and Abel is not just about the first murder. It is about what happens when jealousy is allowed to grow, how anger can lead to terrible choices, how God warns us before sin takes control. God spoke to Cain before the tragedy. Cain had a chance to turn back. This story reminds us that we are responsible not only for our actions, but for what we allow to live in our hearts. Anger begins quietly. Jealousy whispers. But God always speaks first. The question is, will we listen?